Hello and welcome back. Alright, so last time we started up this game that I totally thought would only take one stream. Now it's time to do part 2. This game does indeed have autosave. And not only does it have autosave, but also, hey, good to see you again. We hope you enjoy your time with Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. I went back and I did some of the games and tech demos that I couldn't, originally. Because I do have the hardware by which I could do them. I didn't bother with the camera one. I didn't care enough. But, I did actually go back and do those things because, hey, why not? I have the ability to do so. And they were pretty cool. I wish I could record them, but I simply can't. At any rate, getting back into it. We did this last time. First stage, time for the second one. That's 15 medals, perfect. I'll get Balloon Hunt 2 double balloons open for you ASAP. In part 2, there are balloons inside of other balloons. If you aim well, you should be able to pop both of them at once. Think you can do it? What do you think? Want to play Balloon Hunt 2 double balloons? Try it out. Alright, stick and mouse controls. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the, strap, because I kept noticing that the straps were getting in the way because they were catching on my desk. They were catching on the corner of my desk, so I should probably just go ahead and put on the straps. Try it again. Aha, there we go. Just barely. That'll be good enough. Hey, you're pretty good at this balloon popping business. Your mouse skills are nothing to sniff at. Part 3, the final part, has been unlocked. Keep this up and you'll be a veteran balloon hunter before you know it. Will you keep going for a bit longer? Nah. Also, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and change the settings back. That's 51 medals, perfect. I'll get Balloon Hunt 3 triple balloons open for you right away. For part 3, the grand finale, there are now bombs underneath sets of 3 balloons. The key is to shoot the bombs so that the 3 balloons pop all at once. That was way too much time spent on that one. Hey, it was still good enough. Hey, you're pretty good at this balloon popping business. Your mouse skills are nothing to sniff at. Keep this up and you'll be a veteran balloon hunter before you know it. Yeah, I'm gonna change it back. I like the slower movement. It's just more precise. Alright. Wow, you're pretty good at this, Mom. Huh, I bet you've never seen aiming like this. I kind of have on the Wii. I've never played this kind of game with mouse controls before. It works surprisingly well. You should give it a try. It does actually work really well. So I tried putting these Joy-Cons into the grip like what I'm running around on right now. It is so uncomfortable. To think, even those little bumps were designed to serve a purpose. Let's go take another look at it. Nintendo Switch 2 logo. Player LED right. Player LED left. I came here with my friends, but I guess they're strolling around looking at things. So I'm just going to try and reach the final area. My hat just flew right off my head. Maybe someone found it and took it to the information center. Huh? What's this? Foot right. Foot left. Those are feet? For what? Looks like this leads to Area K. I guess the other side goes to Area J. A is 11. Wow, okay. You can learn about the Joy-Con 2 grip here. We'll cover its shape, how it can stand upright, and more. Does any of that interest you? I'm interested. I'm not going to wear it. I'm not going to use it, though, because the Joy-Con 2 grip is just uncomfortable. I tried. Easily attach to and detach from the grip. When it comes to the Joy-Con 2 grip, attaching and detaching the Joy-Con 2 controllers is easy. It's actually easier than on the version 1. The controllers contain magnets, so you can simply hold them up to the sides and they'll attach by themselves. The release buttons let you detach each of the controllers with ease. For example, if you're playing alone with the grip, but you want to add a second player, you can detach the Joy-Con 2 and hand it to someone else right away. The enlarged Joy-Con 2 grip. The Joy-Con 2 controllers are bigger than the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers. This means that the Joy-Con 2 grip is larger than the Joy-Con grip. However, simply making it bigger would make it harder to hold. So the ends of the grip have been made thinner to make it easier to grasp. The Joy-Con 2 grip can stand up. The grip can stand, so it doesn't take up too much space when it's time to put it away. There are two protrusions on the underside, measuring approximately 0.2 millimeters each. These protrusions act as tiny feet. It's a subtle detail, but this is what helps the keep the grip propped up. Looks like you've read all those insights. How studious of you. You can guess what's coming next, can't you? It's a quiz. Joy-Con 2 grip. Which of the following is used to attach the Joy-Con 2 grip to a Joy-Con 2 controller? Glue, magnetic force, an electric current, the power of love. How has the Joy-Con 2 grip been modified to make it easier to hold? It grows or shrinks to match the size of your hand. It now uses sticky material. Bumps have been applied to stop your hands from sliding. The parts you hold have been thinned out. What's the benefit of the Joy-Con 2 grip being able to stand up? You can store it without taking up too much space. You can play without having to hold it. It gives you courage. There's no real benefit. For me, there's no real benefit because, I'm sticking it in a drawer. Wow, you got everything right! Looks like you've got a solid grasp on the Joy-Con 2 grip. Huh, looks like another set of Joy-Con 2 grip insights has appeared. The Joy-Con 2 charging grip has its own connectors. In fact, it has its own GL/GR buttons too. Are you interested? Understood. Here's Joy-Con 2 charging grip insights ready and waiting for you. I'm not getting the charging grip either. I'd rather just get the Pro Controller. The Joy-Con 2 charging grip, sold separately, has a key difference from the Joy-Con 2 grip. It includes a USB Type-C connector. You can connect the USB cable here to charge Joy-Con 2 controllers. But that's not all. When the Joy-Con 2 charging grip is connected to the dock or Nintendo Switch 2 console with a USB cable, it connects to the console via wired communication, not wireless. The Joy-Con 2 charging grip isn't just for charging the controllers. Like the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller, it includes a GL button and a GR button. You can use your middle or ring fingers to press them. These two buttons are completely separate from the other buttons. Off the bat, nothing will happen when you press either of them, but you can assign different buttons to them in any configuration you'd like. For example, if you find yourself using the minus button a lot, you can assign it to the GL button. And if pressing the right stick is too much of a hassle, you can assign its behavior to the GR button instead. Or maybe you've realized that you need to press the B button while keeping the right stick and ZR button pressed. In this case, just assign the B button to the GR button. Press and hold the home button to access quick settings and map buttons from there. Button mapping settings are stored per user and per game. You can tailor the settings to your liking for any game you like. The GL/GR buttons have also been carefully designed. They should be comfortable to press, no matter your hand size. We've taken the button's positions, relative height, and size into account. This means they won't get in the way if you don't need them, but they'll be easy to press if you do. Thanks for reading all that. Prepare to be quizzed. Joy-Con 2 charging grip. What can the Joy-Con 2 charging grip do other than charge the Joy-Con 2? Charge the Nintendo Switch 2 console, charge a mobile phone, allow for mouse controls, use wired communication. The Joy-Con 2 charging grip includes GL and GR buttons. What are they used for? They start and stop the charging. You can map other buttons to them however you'd like. They quickly and efficiently eject the Joy-Con 2. They're display only. Excellent, not a single error. I'd say that certifies you as a Joy-Con 2 charging grip expert. Alright, I still need to find the rest of the buttons. The rest of the stamps. I wonder what that area over there is. Where are the insights? Classified? What about the minigames? We need to find them. Slow down! Don't get too far ahead. We've been walking around all day. Will these kids ever run out of energy? No. Rubber cap, lower left. The dots are so tiny. They're extra hard to see if there's any dust on the screen. Finding the last pixel takes so long. I see you've got at least 27 medals. Fantastic. I'll go ahead and unlock LCD Pixel Hunt 3 pixels. How curious. Images that you see in a game are made up of lots of pixels. A single pixel is incredibly tiny. In this game, you'll have to try and find 3 of these tiny pixels as quickly as you can on the console screen. If the screen has gathered any dust, you might want to wipe that off now, as it could prevent you from finding pixels. Would you like to play LCD Pixel Hunt 3 Pixels? I'm not going to be able to record it. Oh, a skip signal. Well, alright, let me give you enough skip medals to fill up your remaining slots. Whenever you feel like hunting down single pixels on the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen, just say the word. It looks as though Part 2 is available. 1, 2, 3. Yep, definitely got at least 49 medals. Let's get this going. I'll go ahead and unlock the next level. LCD Pixel Hunt 2, 3 Drifting Pixels. In Part 1, the pixels weren't really moving around. They are actually moving around a little bit. They move in squares, in tiny sections. In Part 2, though, they'll be drifting around the screen. Would you like to play LCD Pixel Hunt 2, 3 Drifting Pixels? No, because I can't record it. Oh, a skip signal. Whenever you feel like hunting down single pixels on the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen, just say the word. Right, next up. Rubber cap upper left. These rubber caps help muffle the noise produced when the Joy-Con 2 controllers rumble. Wondering about that. Magnetic connector left. Magnetic connector right. A staff member told me something pretty interesting earlier. Apparently, this also serves to hide screws. I had a feeling. Rubber cap upper right. This is easier if you attach the straps, right? Rubber cap lower right. Area J is now open. They can't let us play because we don't have enough clear medals. There are some mini games we haven't played yet. Want to go back and do them? That adds up to 15 medals. Nice work. Then I'll happily open up Scrape Off Stain Removal for you. Oh boy, it's Power Wash Simulator. You fancy yourself a pretty good scraper? Let me explain. This minigame's all about using the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls to scrape off some grime. It's caked on pretty good, though. You'll feel the HD Rumble 2 feature as you scrape. Work quickly and efficiently to get that mess cleaned up for me, okay? Quick tip, the especially stubborn parts should come off easier with smaller, more precise motions. You want to give Scrape Off Stain Removal a go? I need 25 seconds. Wow, okay. Whew. That's a workout. Hey, that was really fast. You're better than I expected. That surface is nice and clean. Part 2 is available now. I've got a feeling your scraping skills will rapidly improve with some more practice. How about another go? No thanks. Is that a skip signal? What am I supposed to do again? Oh yeah, skip medals to fill in the empty slots. Here you go. Anytime you feel like scraping stuff until it's spotless, come on over. That adds up to 50 medals. Nice work. Then I'll happily open up Scrape Off 2 Stubborn Stain Removal for you. In part 2, there are even more stubborn spots underneath the first layer of dirt. Don't ask me who made this mess. Oh, and you may wind up seeing some sort of pattern. You'll have to let me know. You want to give Scrape Off 2 Stubborn Stain Removal a shot? Good enough. That was just a handprint, though. Hey, that was really fast. You're better than I expected. That surface is nice and clean. I've got a feeling your scraping skills will rapidly improve with some more practice. Now. Was that a skip signal? Oh right, I'm supposed to give you however many skip medals you need. Well, here you go. Anytime you feel like scraping stuff until it's spotless, come on over. That's it for this area, so I'm going to go ahead and check out the things that are now unlocked in earlier areas, as well as heading back to the information center. Oh, welcome. Thanks for visiting the Lost and Found desk. Oh, thanks for turning this in. Speed Maze 4, a tight squeeze. Oh, looks like you've got at least 75 medals. Right, it's all set up. Introducing Speed Maze 4, a tight squeeze. In the climactic part 4, we're throwing moving walls at you. This one is all about knowing when to zip through the gaps. Would you like to play Speed Maze 4, a tight squeeze? Yes. Oh boy. Good enough. Nice work making it to the goal so quickly. You really zipped through that maze. Speed Golf 4 Pitfall Course. I see you've got at least 81 medals. Introducing the next part, Speed Golf 4 Pitfall Course. Part 4 is the final part. It's full of holes. There are a lot, so be careful to avoid them. There's a lot of mini games with mouse controls, which is totally fair considering that's the unique gimmick for this system. Well, that was easy. I noticed that if you got exactly the right straight line, you could just go straight across. I was like, okay, let's do that. You sunk that putt so quickly. You chose a really great path to take. Click quick 4 random targets. Oh boy. I see you have at least 77 medals. I'll get this open for you. You can now play click quick 4 random targets. In part 3, the targets had fixed starting positions, but now they can appear anywhere at random. Now, what do you say to a game of quick 4 random targets? Okay. This is a hard minigame. Too slow. Yes! Rapid and precise in equal measure, and with random targets at that. Your mousing is becoming ever more skillful. If you keep trying, you'll improve exponentially. Skip signal? No bother at all. Or the shapes for snake. You've got at least 84 medals, right? You can now enjoy Color the Shapes 4 Snake at your leisure. For the grand finale, part 4, you must color a snake. The squiggly little fellow will really put your mouse skills to the test. What do you say? Will you play a game of Color the Shapes 4 Snake? Ha! I actually need to change the controls because that was too slow. It was too small, specifically. I moved the mouse over more space than it is available on my desk. It's simply faster if I can move the mouse faster. Okay. I've never seen such marker handling. You colored that in like a professional. You do well to continue practicing, my dear. It will only improve your coloring skills. Will you be carrying on? No. I am one away from, or one game away from that 99 there. All done with Area J. The next area is on the other side. Hello, I'm Dragon Rider Luke. I'm a Christian streamer, and I'm always up for a friendly chat about my faith. I also think that it's important that people read or hear the Word of God frequently, so the next 5 minutes or so will be a chapter from the Bible. Judges 5. On that day, Deborah and Barak, son of Abinoam, sang this song. When the princes in Israel take the lead, when the people willingly offer themselves, praise the Lord. Hear this, you kings. Listen, you rulers. I, even I, will sing to the Lord. I will praise the Lord, the God of Israel, in song. When you, Lord, went out from Seir, when you marched from the land of Edom, the earth shook, the heavens poured, the clouds poured down water. The mountains quaked before the Lord, the one of Sinai, before the Lord, the God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were abandoned. The travelers took to winding paths. Villagers in Israel would not fight. They held back until I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Israel. God chose new leaders when war came to the city gates, but not a shield or spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is with Israel's princes, with the willing volunteers among the people. Praise the Lord. You who rode on white donkeys, sitting on your saddle blankets, and you who walk along the road, consider the voice of the singers at the watering places. They recite the victories of the Lord, the victories of his villagers in Israel. Then the people of the Lord went down to the city gates. Wake up, Deborah, wake up, break out in song. Arise, Barak. Take captive your captives, son of Abinoam. The remnant of the nobles came down. The people of the Lord came down to me against the mighty. Some came from Ephraim, whose roots were in Amalek. Benjamin was with the people who followed you. From Machir captains came down. From Zebulun those who bear a commander's staff. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah. Yes, Issachar was with Barak, sent under his command into the valley. In the districts of Reuben there was much searching of heart. Why did you stay among the sheep pens to hear the whistling for the flocks? In the districts of Reuben there was much searching of heart. Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan. And Dan, why did he linger by the ships? Asher remained on the coast and stayed in his coves. The people of Zebulun risked their very lives, so did Naphtali on the terraced fields. Kings came, they fought, the kings of Canaan fought. At Tanakh, by the waters of Megiddo, they took no plunder of silver. From the heavens the stars fought. From their courses they fought against Sisera. The river Kishon swept them away, the age-old river, the river Kishon. March on, my soul, be strong. Then thundered the horse's hooves, galloping, galloping go his mighty steeds. Curse Meroz, said the angel of the Lord, curse its people bitterly, because they did not come to help the Lord against the mighty. Most blessed of women be Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, most blessed of tent-dwelling women. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. In a bowl fit for nobles, she brought him curdled milk. Her hand reached for the tent peg, her right hand for the workman's hammer. She struck Sisera, she crushed his head, she shattered and pierced his temple. At her feet he sank, he fell, there he lay. At her feet he sank. Where he sank, there he fell, dead. Through the window peered Sisera's mother. Behind the lattice she cried out, "Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why is the clatter of his chariots delayed?" The wisest of her ladies answer her. Indeed, she keeps saying to herself, "Are they not finding and dividing the spoils? A woman or two for each man? Colorful garments is plunder for Sisera. Colorful garments embroidered. Highly embroidered garments for my neck. All this is plunder? So may all your enemies perish, Lord. But may all who love you be like the sun when it rises in its strength." Then the land had peace for 40 years. May God bless the reading of his word. Did you get all the stamps in Area I, the Joy-Con 2 grip area? Every last one of them. Good job. You can head on through. There are a lot of stamps to get up ahead in Area J. Yeah, I would hope so, since it's the Pro Controller. I'm so curious about this. I wonder what insights I can find about it. I'm waiting to get the Pro Controller until they have a themed one. Otherwise, I would totally get one right now. But, because, I mean, I expect them to make a themed one, and, honestly, I already have Pro Controllers. When they make a themed one, I'll get it. Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller area. I just want the GL and GR buttons. It just sounds so nice to have. But I cannot justify doing that when it's not even the C button. You can press this button to access game chat. Yeah, I don't care about that one. What I care about is GL and GR buttons. Wonder what buttons would be best to map to the GL and GR buttons. Yeah, that's going to matter greatly depending on which, what game you're playing. They said you can play this minigame using the charging grip, too. Greetings, are you familiar with the GL and GR buttons? You will find them on both the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller and the Joy-Con 2 charging grip. GL and GR button can each be mapped to another button of your choosing. In this minigame, you will need to make use of the GL and GR buttons. Are you sure? You will be asked to perform a series of challenging inputs to unlock a series of locks. Consider carefully which buttons would be best for you to assign. Open the GL/GR locks, normal awaits. Will you rise to the challenge? Sure. Oh, I have to. Never mind. Well, I can't do that, because I don't have those things. Unfortunately. Otherwise, I would record it and show it to you. But I don't have those. Like I said, I'm waiting on them releasing a themed one, such as for a Xeno game from Monolith Soft, or for a Zelda game or something like that. So you want some skip medals for your empty slots, right? There's that 99. If you ever need a hands-on experience with GL/GR buttons, I'm here. Part 2 is available now. I see your medal count is at 16. I'll unlock the exhibit. Open the GL/GR locks to long. Part 2 will challenge you with longer and more complex patterns. No thanks. Part 3 is out now. Capture button. Doing this reminds me of putting in cheat codes back in the day. My muscle memory still remembers the old codes. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. I see your medal count is at 55. I'll unlock the exhibit. Up in the GL/GR locks 3, shuffle. Part 3 is the last part. It will task you with unlocking random patterns. I can't play it. Plus control pad. Hertz, often written as HZ, is the number of shakes per second. Specifically, it's 1/seconds. So a 60 Hertz vibration is 60 shakes per second, while a 200 Hertz vibration is 200 shakes per second. Pretty simple, right? It rumbled and then it made a sound. Dad, you try. Wait, where's Dad? You collected 29 medals? Nice work. Then I can get this demo set up for you. Now, this isn't a minigame, but how about trying out this tech demo? The HD Rumble 2 feature is capable of creating all sorts of vibration. It can range from very intense to soft and gentle. And in this tech demo, you'll get to test the feature out as much as you want. Ready to dabble in a bit of the HD Rumble 2 Maker demo? Experience the change in vibrations. Checklist. Alright. So create vibration. Create a strong vibration at 60 Hz. Vibration at 200 Hz. Subtle vibration at 400 Hz. Huh. Persistent vibration from 40 to 480 Hz. By the way, at the light rumble end, it's actually making sounds. Yeah, after you cross this midline, it actually starts making sounds. That's cool how it's able to do that. Alright. You really tried out the full spectrum of vibration there. The HD Rumble 2 feature can pull off all kinds of different vibrations. GL button. This button can be freely mapped to a button of your choice. Look at this curvature. It's a work of art, I tell you. Left stick. This control stick glides smoothly. Minus button. Home button. Plus button. Y button. 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 X button. Right stick. This control stick glides smoothly. I stopped for a quick nap, and now I can't find my family. GR button. This button can be freely mapped to a button of your choice. DR button. R button. USB Type-C connector. Player LED. Sync button. So this is lighter? L button. ZL button. There's still more switches. Or more stamps. NFC touch point. Wonder what kind of mold was used to cast the seamless grips. Like it was pretty difficult to make. C and all. Oh. Audio jack. The audio jack lets you use headphones while playing, or a headset while using game chat. There we go. Area K is unlocked. Interested in learning about the GL and GR buttons? Or maybe about how the button heights were considered down to the nearest 0.05 millimeters. Are you interested? Sure. Got it. Take it away, Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller Insights 1. A new design. Here's the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller. And here it is next to the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. See any differences? The color. It would have been easy to just take the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller and add a few more buttons. But in fact, the new Pro Controller has been completely redesigned from the ground up. A lot has changed. If you're interested in using game chat, the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller makes it easy to use. For one, you can bring up the menu straight away with the C button. There's an audio jack on the controller's underside, so you can connect an audio device, such as a pair of headphones. This helps you use the game chat even when you're far from the system. The console microphone picks up the voices of everyone nearby. But if you speak close to the microphone that's plugged in via the audio jack, your own voice will be heard more clearly. This isn't just helpful for game chat either. If you don't want the game audio to come from the TV, you can always listen to it using the headphones instead. I actually don't have a headset that has an audio, audio. This headset doesn't have space for an audio thing. It's just an open back headset. The GL/GR button. The Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller has GL and GR buttons. They're meant to be pressed with your middle or ring fingers. They're different from the other buttons on the controller. As it is, nothing happens when you press them. However, you can map other buttons to them as you like. For example, if you use the plus button a lot, you can map it to the GR button. Or if you want a new way to press the left stick, you can map it to the GL button. Want to keep your thumb on the left stick? Hold the ZL button and press up on the plus control pad all at the same time? Map up on the plus control pad to the GL button. Press and hold the home button to access quick settings and map buttons from there. Button mapping is saved on a per user and per game basis. That means you can personalize the buttons to suit your own playstyle depending on the particular game, so have fun with it. Another thing about the GL and GR buttons, they're designed to be comfortable for hands both big and small. They don't get in the way if you don't want to use them, but are easy to press if you do. We put a lot of thought into these buttons' location, height, and size. Pro Controller buttons. Let's take a look at the buttons on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller. They've been updated since the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller 2. For one, the minus and plus button now have a different feel to them. We also made the capture button and home button easier to recognize. And you should now be able to input directions on the plus control pad with more precision. Additionally, the A, B, X, and Y buttons are now bigger. This makes them easier to press. An interesting thing about these buttons is that they've always stuck out at different heights. The heights were adjusted to account for how your fingers move. With the enlarged A, B, X, and Y buttons, your fingers will move a little differently. So we made lots of buttons of differing height in increments of 0.5 millimeters. Of those, we picked the heights that we felt would be the best fit. Wired communication. When you're using a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller, it's connected directly to the dock via USB cable, the Pro Controller will communicate with the console via wired communication instead of wireless, Bluetooth. In this case, wired communication with the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller connects slightly faster than a wired connection between Nintendo Switch and its Pro Controller. Another way to say this is that the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller has a lower latency. By the way, you can also connect the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller directly to the Nintendo Switch 2 dock via USB cable, if necessary. I see you've read up on all the insights. Good on you. Reading all of those nets use a quiz. Hey, you've earned it. How much does the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller differ in design from the Nintendo Switch 2 from the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller? Not at all. It's been touched up. Its design was reconsidered from scratch. What can you connect to the part of the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller shown here? The Joy-Con 2 strap, a TV or camera, an external battery, a microphone, or a pair of headphones. Where are the GL/GR buttons located on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller? Next to the L and R buttons, next to the audio jack, on the backs of the parts you hold, they don't exist. The heights of the A, B, X, Y buttons on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller were adjusted in increments of what? 1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeters, 0.1 millimeters, 0.05 millimeters. What must you do to enable wired communication for the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller? Connect an HDMI cable, connect a USB cable, place it on a table, eat a bagel. Perfect score. As always, not a single mistake. You nailed that quiz. Seems like you've got a good handle on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller. Huh, I guess there's a sequel to Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller Insights 1. Interesting. I bet you didn't know that the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller has some pretty smooth gliding sticks. It also has seamless grips. Pretty cool stuff. Are you, interested? I'm interested. You are? Yes! Let me just bring up the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller Insights 2 for you. Light and thin. In terms of weight, the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller is a little bit lighter than its predecessor. I won't notice. The center has also been made thinner. I almost certainly won't notice. This is to give you room to rest your middle and ring fingers while you're holding the controller. It's easier to hold in general. Smooth gliding sticks. See the control sticks on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller? You could refer to them as smooth gliding sticks. That's because they're designed not to feel sticky or like they're snagging on anything. Also, there shouldn't be any noise when you tilt them all the way. The stick's axes have been designed never to reach the limit of their range. Instead, they stop at a certain point you can't see from the outside. Huh. And at the point of contact, we've placed a soft sheet. This gently cushions the area and makes it quieter. All of this helps them glide pretty smoothly. Even the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller grips were given some consideration. You may notice that the controller's grips are seamless, and we've made sure there are no grooves in places that your hands might easily touch. Unlike on the original. You can see the grooves on the back of this. This prevents dirt or grime from building up in the cracks, unlike my steering wheel. Plus, it just feels nice to hold. Tell you the truth, it was incredibly difficult to make such a complex controller shape out of plastic. Especially one without any grooves. It took a lot of finessing, but we made it work. I bet they used a 3D printer. One thing about the grip of the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller is that its design differs slightly from its Nintendo Switch counterpart. We took some inspiration from the Nintendo GameCube controller grip, and thinned out where you hold it. Why? Because it gives your middle and ring fingers some more space to rest. The controller is now easier to hold. Got through all the insights? Great! Now I can give you a quiz based on these insights. In what way has the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller been modified to make it easier to hold? The parts you hold have been made out of rubber, the center of the controller has been made thinner, straps have been added, it comes with special gloves. They're not gonna drop that special glove thing, are they? Are they gonna try and make the power glove again? Which of the following is a way you could refer to the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller control sticks? C-sticks, 3D sticks, smooth gliding sticks, vegetable sticks. What has been removed from places on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller that your hands might easily touch? Plastic, the GLGR buttons, vibration, grooves. The grips on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller were inspired by the design of which other controller? The Nintendo 64 controller, the Nintendo GameCube controller, the Wii Wheel, the Wii U gamepad. I'm gonna just say it right now, the Wii Wheel and the Wii U gamepad were not exactly easy to work with. Whoa, you got a perfect score? You've mastered the ins and outs of the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller. I've met a lot of visitors here, but you're a real rarity. Your thirst for knowledge is beyond compare, really. Have you always been this curious? Yes. I'm even tempted to offer you a staff position. That would be nice. Alright, I need to... This is open now! Dodge the Spike Balls 4, Twin UFOs Nightmare Mode. Someone's been busy. You've got the 99 medals you need. I'll unlock Dodge the Spike Balls 4, Twin UFOs Nightmare Mode. I make no guarantees on this one. I'm going to try it and probably give up after less than 5 tries. You may think that everything up to Part 3 has been pretty tough, but Part 4 is your reality check. You might call it a spike in difficulty. Would you like to play Dodge the Spike Balls 4 Twin UFOs Nightmare Mode? Sure. Holy cow! How do you even see all of this? I'm kind of impressed that I keep getting 3 points! I think I'll keep going until I get 5 points once? I don't know. This is ridiculous. Hey, I got 4 points! I'll see if I can hit 10. I don't know, no, I think I'm fine. That's insane! Holy cow! Come back whenever you feel like dodging and weaving through an unreasonable number of spiked balls. Or never. After Area K, all that's left is the final area. It looks like the gate to the final area is in the console. We gotta go back. Oh, it's the interior of the console. That'll be great. Did you get all the stamps in Area J that Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller area yet? Like you did, you can head on through. Area K up ahead has been described as round and hilly, just FYI. It's the wheel. They made the Wii wheel for Mario Kart Wii, and they made the Switch wheel for Mario Kart World. Joy-Con 2 wheel area. Rubber cap left. So this is where the Joy-Con 2 controller goes, huh? Joy-Con 2 slot left. Press here to push here to press the SL button on the Joy-Con 2 controller. Joy-Con 2 slot right. Push here to press the SR button on the Joy-Con 2 controller. Your speed won't drop if you drive in a straight line, Mom. Mom? Mom? Nope, she's not listening. She's too focused on the game. Rubber cap right. No way I'm about to lose a game where you gotta drive fast. Oh, I didn't think I'd have to do two-wheel stunts. What even is that? Looks like you brought me 5 medals. And let's get this show on the road with stunt driving basic course. Listen, you know what you're getting yourself into here, right? This is a minigame about driving a car, but this isn't your average drag race. You can tilt the Joy-Con 2 controller to stunt drive on 2 wheels. You play with mouse controls, moving the car left and right. Sometimes you'll have to drive on 2 wheels to squeeze through tight gaps. 2-wheeling it should also give you enough height to catch the speed boost in the air. Your aim is to get to the goal as quickly as possible. Ready to give stunt driving basic course a spin? Sure. Reach the goal using 2-wheeled stunts. Hey, that works. Pretty fast. I enjoyed your stunt driving. Part 2's out, it looks like. A few more test drives, and I figure you'll get the dashes down pat. Want to take it for another spin? Nah. Oh, that's a skip signal. I'll fill in your empty slots with skip medals. I just noticed that I have another thing that I should take to the information center. If stunt driving is still your speed, come back whenever you like. Oh, welcome. Thanks for visiting the Lost and Found desk. Oh, thanks for turning this in. Did you bring me at least 32 medals? Then let's hit the road. You can play stunt driving 2 walls and switches. In part 2, the race course will have floor panels as well. Hit these and take care not to crash into the walls, and you'll be sailing straight to the finish line. Ready to give stunt driving 2 walls and switches a spin? That's what I wanted to do. There we go. That's not too bad. Pretty fast. I enjoyed your stunt driving. Clear LED. My younger brother and I were gifted with the sixth sense. And if I'm understanding my sixth sense correctly, it's telling me there's a stamp hidden nearby. The sounds of vibration the vibration makes remind me of a motorcycle. Vibrations here feel like the real deal. I want to play with the Joy-Con 2 wheel so bad. I hope my kids ask for it. Then I'll get to use it too. Will you marry me? Where are you saying that to? Is there a person all the way on the other side that I missed? Yes. I said I can't hear you! Okay, so there's info up here. You've collected at least 17 medals, right? Then let's get rolling! You into motorcycles? Well, here you can feel the vibration from HG Rumble 2 that mimics the feel of a motorcycle engine. This isn't a minigame, so don't expect any hairpin turns or actual racing. It's all about feeling the thundering roar of the engine, the adrenaline-pumping gear shifts, the thrill of opening up that throttle and really letting it rip. Ahem, you don't need a Joy-Con 2 wheel for this, just a pair of Joy-Con 2 controllers. When we start, you've got to hold them with both hands, the way you'd grip the handlebars of an actual motorcycle. I'll fire up the HD Rumble 2 motorcycle demo so you can burn some rubber. Okay? Like so, I guess. I don't actually know how to drive a motorcycle, so... Reach maximum speed. Whew, you're a natural. You ruled the streets. Did you feel it? The pulse of the engine, like the beating of your heart? It did actually... I could actually feel the vibration. Although you would kind of expect it at this point now, wouldn't you? The Joy-Con 2 wheel is so cool! Our birthdays are coming up. Should we ask Dad to get us a set of 2? Do you know how the magnets in the Joy-Con 2 wheel work? Or how the Joy-Con 2 fits smoothly into the wheel? Any desire to dive deeper? Sure. That's the spirit, and let's get Joy-Con 2 Wheel Insights 1 going. Easily attach to and detach from the wheel. As for the Joy-Con 2 wheel, attaching or detaching a Joy-Con 2 controller is easy. When you're using the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con wheel, the Joy-Con has to be pushed in and then pulled out to remove. As for the Joy-Con 2 wheel, magnets allow the Joy-Con 2 to be easily clicked into place and smoothly removed. To make sure the Joy-Con 2 controller can be easily inserted into the Joy-Con 2 wheel, we added a gap beneath the Joy-Con 2. However, simply including a gap it would cause the Joy-Con 2 to become dislodged when the control stick is tilted. So what did we do? Well, we needed a solution that wouldn't get in the way of the Joy-Con 2 when it's attached. There's rubber attached here. It may look like the control stick will bump it when tilted down, but it's positioned to hold the Joy-Con 2 in place. Thanks to this, the Joy-Con 2 controller feels securely attached and won't accidentally detach. The magnets rotate. The Joy-Con 2 wheel and the Joy-Con 2 controller are attached magnetically. Magnets in the Joy-Con 2 wheel stick... Joy-Con 2 wheels stick to the steel SL and SR buttons on the Joy-Con 2 controllers. And when the SL and SR buttons on the Joy-Con 2 wheel are pressed, the SL and SR buttons on the Joy-Con 2 controller inside the wheel are pressed too. But having them pressed down normally wasn't enough. If you move the magnets, the Joy-Con 2 moves along with them. This can result in the SR buttons not getting pressed as intended. If the SR buttons are pressed with something like a rod, the Joy-Con 2 controller will come off the magnet. So what did we do? We made the magnets rotate. At the access point, the Joy-Con 2 is still stuck to the magnet and doesn't move. The SR buttons are being pressed for the magnets rotate. Okay. Strong magnetic pull. The Joy-Con 2 wheel pulls in the Joy-Con 2 controller. It does so using internal magnets. The closer a magnet is to the thing it's sticking to, the stronger the pull. We wanted it to be difficult to detach the Joy-Con 2 from the wheel, so we made the plastic around the magnets quite thin. It's common to use plastic with a thickness of approximately 1 millimeter, but in this case, the plastic we're using is especially thin. It's less than 0.3 millimeters. We did this so that the wheel and the Joy-Con 2 are as close together as possible. You read it all right? It's time for a quiz! Introducing the Joy-Con 2 Wheel Insights Quiz 1. How does the Joy-Con 2 controller attach to the Joy-Con 2 wheel? Glue, magnets, electricity, strong conviction. What helps the Joy-Con 2 controller attach easily to the Joy-Con 2 wheel? A gap was added just below the Joy-Con 2 controller. The wheel lets the Joy-Con 2 controller fit snugly inside. Suction cups, good vibes. What happens to the magnets positioned between the Joy-Con 2 controller and the wheel when you press the Joy-Con 2 wheel's SR buttons? They eject the Joy-Con 2 controller, they grow, they rotate, they stretch. How thick is the plastic covering the magnets positioned between the Joy-Con 2 controller and the wheel? Less than 0.3 millimeters, 0.5 millimeters, 3 millimeters, more than 5 millimeters. That's a perfect score! Well done! The Joy-Con 2 wheel really is in your wheelhouse, huh? It looks like there are more insights for the Joy-Con 2 wheel than I thought. What do you know about the screws hidden in the Joy-Con 2 wheel? What do you know about the steering wheels Nintendo has made in the past, for that matter? Would you be interested in learning? Allow me to introduce Joy-Con 2 Wheel Insights 2. Wheels are of similar size. As you probably already know, the Joy-Con 2 is larger than the Joy-Con Switch, than the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. But when you compare the Joy-Con 2 wheel with the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con wheel, you'll notice that there isn't much difference in terms of size. This roughly equal size was about as small as we could make it. This was to ensure that people with smaller hands could reach the control sticks and buttons. That said, even though it's about the same size overall, the SL and SR buttons are now larger and easier to press. The Nintendo Switch Joy-Con wheel has a groove where the parts join. You're likely to touch this part with your fingers. So we thought about how to prevent this from happening. You can see that the Joy-Con 2 wheel parts are shaped differently. There are almost no grooves on the outside. That's actually a bit unusual. All of this makes it feel pretty nice to hold. The Joy-Con 2 wheel has a lot of screws. They're needed to hold the plastic in place. Do you know where they are? There are 6 screws hidden underneath the outer plastic. We hid them to make it look as much like a wheel as possible. On the topic of wheels, Nintendo has had steering wheel controls available for a long time. Wii Wheel for Wii in 2008, and Joy-Con wheel for Nintendo Switch in 2017, Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 03 Vehicle Kit in 2018. These are just a few examples. If you go all the way back, you can find even more examples of this. There's Racing 112 in 1978, and even Drive Game 1966, both of which were exclusive to Japan. Steering wheel controls let you enjoy the feeling of driving a car. You've read all the insights, right? Have I got a quiz for you? You want to take the Joy-Con 2 Wheel Insights quiz too? Joy-Con 2 Wheel, Volume 2. Which is bigger, the Joy-Con 2 wheel for Nintendo Switch 2 or the Joy-Con wheel for Nintendo Switch? The Joy-Con 2 wheel, the Joy-Con wheel, they're the same size. It is bigger, but only slightly. What has been done to make the Joy-Con 2 wheel easier to grip? It was made with soft materials, the grooves now hit pressure points on your hands. Ouch. The grooves are now mostly out of reach of your hands. A non-stick coating has been applied. There are 6 screws on the outside of the Joy-Con 2 wheel. Where are they hidden? Under the inner plastic, under the outer plastic, in a small wardrobe, there are no screws. Of the following games that use steering wheel controls, which is the oldest? Drive Game, Racing 112, Mario Kart Wii, Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 03 Vehicle Kit. What? I've marked the insight related to the question you got wrong. Give it a read if you want. I guess I was supposed to say they're the same size. It's not accurate. They're not the same size. They're almost the same size, but they're not. Your knowledge of the Joy-Con 2 wheel knows no bounds. Missing 3 stamps somewhere. Okay. There though. I feel like I've been everywhere, but I'm not seeing those other stamps. I get like a hint or something? Come on. Oh! Rip! And then the others are relative to the clear LED. Aha! The SL button. Okay, there we go. Now I know where the other one is. The SR button. Area L. I ran so fast I slid. I fell over. That's cool. Did you get all the stamps in Area K, the Joy-Con 2 wheel area? Got every last one! Way to go! You can head on through. This is it, the home stretch. It's time to go inside the console. Nintendo Switch 2 console inner area. When I first came here, I thought the whole world had flipped upside down. I'm sure I climbed a ladder, but it looks like I came down instead? Too strange. I guess this means this is the back of the console. From the inside? You know how many parts there are in the Nintendo Switch 2 console? Do you know anything about its circuit board? Well, would you like to know about these things? Sure. Great answer. Just give me a moment. And there it is. Nintendo Switch 2 Console Insights 1. Many circuit board parts. On the Nintendo Switch 2 console's circuit board, there are twice as many parts as there were on the Nintendo Switch console's circuit board. The most common type of part used is the capacitor. These are used to help maintain stable electrical signals. Since the Nintendo Switch 2 console exchanges electrical signals at much higher speeds than the Nintendo Switch console, the slightest instability can cause it to stop working properly. So what we did was use even more capacitors to ensure that electrical signals were disrupted as little as possible. Holy cow. By enabling the exchange of stable, high-speed electrical signals in this way, Nintendo Switch 2 can run at high speeds. Single circuit board? This is the circuit board inside the Nintendo Switch 2 console. It might seem like it's just a single layer at first. But this single sheet is actually made up of more than 10 layers. Yes, that's what a printed circuit board is. Each of these thin layers contains wiring that connects one component to another. The wires are a bit like the human nervous system. There are thousands of these wires on the console circuit board. Each layer uses a slightly different wiring layout. We designed it as if we were trying to solve a puzzle with our hands. As you may already know, the circuit board for the Nintendo Switch 2 console has over 10 overlapping layers and thousands of wires. But the wiring isn't just about connecting all the components together. Other things need to be considered too. For instance, it's not possible to have wires crossing on a single layer. The wires had to be narrower than 0.1 millimeters to avoid overlap. The length of the wiring is important too. When an electrical signal runs through a wire, it's about as fast as the speed of light. Now consider the fact that this exchange takes place in a fraction of a billionth of a second. When you have several wires sending data together, they all need to be the same length, or else the signals will arrive at different times. So we had to make the lengths of each wire match, ensuring that the signals arrive at the same time. And one more thing. We made sure that the wires are not too long, as the signals could become too weak to reach their destination, and not too close together to each other, as the signals could get mixed up. Games use a lot of electricity. The Nintendo Switch 2 console is typically used to play games, so it's also likely to need a lot of electricity. Smart devices let you do much more than play games, but they consume less electricity. The amount of electricity the smart device needs to run for a day would be used by the Nintendo Switch 2 in about 3 hours. Incidentally, more than half of this electricity is used by the main computer, which is called the SoC. Well, there you go. You've read everything you needed to read. In exchange for reading all those insights, I'd like to offer you a quiz. Which of the following consoles has more components on its circuit board? The Nintendo Switch console, the Nintendo Switch 2 console, they're both the same. How many thin layers make up the Nintendo Switch 2 console circuit board? 1, 3, 5, over 10. How fast are the signals that travel through the wiring on the Nintendo Switch 2 console circuit board? The speed of a top human athlete. The speed of a bullet train, the speed of a jet, the speed of light. What part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console requires over half of its total power usage? The screen, the microphone, the speakers, the main computer. You actually require a perfect score to get them. You got them all right? Well done. Looks like you've learned a lot about the Nintendo Switch 2 console. Oh, it seems like there are more insights, more Nintendo Switch 2 console insights for you to discover. Lucky you. can't believe they're showing us as much as they are. Hey, Dad, it looks like we can go over that way, too. Yeah, it is nice that they're showing as much as they are, and I'm kind of wondering, I guess they must be really secure in winning any sort of, copyright, lawsuits. You can learn more about the Nintendo Switch 2 console here. You'll find out about the chassis being composed of magnesium alloy and plastic, and more. Pretty brainy, right? What are you saying? I thought so. Well then, here's the Nintendo Switch 2 console insights too. Electromagnetic noise. Whenever there's an electric current running through the circuit board's wiring inside the Nintendo Switch 2 console, there will always be electromagnetic noise present. And electromagnetic noise can sometimes interfere with nearby devices, which can cause them to not work properly. Electromagnetic noise doesn't easily penetrate metal, so to prevent a lot of it from escaping the console, we wrap the areas where it's emitted in metal. For instance, take the main computer, called the SoC. We encase the SoC in metal to prevent a lot of the electromagnetic noise from getting out. When the weather is dry and the temperature is low, you may feel a little shock when touching something metal. This is static electricity. If static electricity hits a game console, the console could stop working or become broken. And of course, we wouldn't want that to happen. So we've employed a few ideas in places where your fingers are likely to touch metal. The game card slot and the Joy-Con 2 magnetic connectors are two such places. For example, we added parts to soften the impact of a sudden jolt of static electricity, and spots that absorb it. These spots stop the static electricity from getting to parts that it might otherwise easily damage. The parts that encase the Nintendo Switch 2 console are made from two types of material. These materials are very tightly attached to each other. One is magnesium alloy, shown in orange, and the other is plastic, shown in black. The magnesium alloy is on the inside. It's strong and robust, and it also serves to reduce electromagnetic noise. Then there's the outer layer of plastic. Even when the unit gets hot, the plastic lets you touch the console without feeling the heat. We stuck these two materials together to make full use of them. The console itself is thinner than if we had made it entirely out of plastic, and there's more space on the inside too. On top of the Nintendo Switch 2 console, you'll find a USB Type-C connector. It can be used to charge the console's battery. This allows the system to charge while you're playing in handheld or tabletop mode. But that's not all. The USB Type-C connector can also be used to connect to the Nintendo Switch 2 camera to the console. The camera can be used while you're playing games in TV mode, on tabletop mode, or handheld mode. However, the USB Type-C connector cannot be used to connect to the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. This means it's not possible to insert the console into the dock upside down. You read all the insights? Great! You deserve a prize for all that reading. How's a quiz sound? What is the Nintendo Switch 2 console circuit board wrapped in to prevent electromagnetic noise from escaping? Rubber, plastic, metal, a blanket. When you touch the metal part of a Nintendo Switch 2 console, what can be transmitted from your hand to the console? Good luck, ultraviolet waves, light, ultrasonic waves, static electricity. The parts that encase the insides of the Nintendo Switch 2 console are made out of plastic and one other material: titanium alloy, magnesium alloy, aluminum alloy, calcium alloy. Which of the following can you not do with the USB Type-C connector on the top of the Nintendo Switch 2 console? Charge the console, connect a camera, insert the console into the dock. It can do all of the above. Perfect score! Astounding! The Nintendo Switch 2 console must be like a second home to you now. Oh, before I forget, I'd like to introduce you to my associate here. Let me explain. He's actually my personal assistant. He's always by my side jotting down notes, though to be honest, I have no idea what he's taking notes on. He's a bit on the quiet side, but on the inside he holds a blazing passion. We're conducting an inspection of the venue at the moment. You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's wireless communication here. You'll find out about Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Nintendo's history with wireless communication, and more. That sound like something you're into? And here you go! Please enjoy wireless communication insights. Different types of wireless communication. When it comes to wireless communication on Nintendo Switch 2, a few different methods are possible. There's online communication via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth communication between the Nintendo Switch 2 console and other devices such as Joy-Con 2 controllers, near-field communication with Amiibo, and local communication between Nintendo Switch 2 consoles. Quite a list, huh? And since none of these communication methods involve cables, you don't have to worry about anything getting in the way or tangled up. Wireless communication can be pretty convenient. 3 antennas. Within the Nintendo Switch 2 console, there are 3 antennas. These 3 antennas exchange signals with other devices. They're used to connect devices such as the Joy-Con 2 controllers, Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controllers, or Bluetooth headphones. They can also be used to connect to the internet via Wi-Fi, or to other Nintendo Switch 2 consoles. What's more, the parts encasing the antennas as well as the console itself have an additional function. They actually help the antennas work. The Wi-Fi signal used for online communication and the Bluetooth signal used for devices such as Joy-Con 2 can get mixed up. If we don't employ extra measures to prevent this, it can result in poor communication between devices. So to help prevent this, we made sure that signals take turns. The console can use either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but not both at the same time. It can switch between these two types of communication very quickly. It also ever so slightly offsets the type of signal used. With these measures in place, the signals have a much lower risk of getting mixed up. Fun fact, it's difficult for radio signals to pass through the human body. So when the console is using Wi-Fi communication, if your hands or body is close to the antennas, it may weaken the signal. We took steps to make sure that the signal wouldn't get weakened too much. One way we did so was by considering the positioning of the antennas. It was chosen to ensure that your hands aren't blocking the antennas when playing in handheld mode. As for the Joy-Con 2 controller's antennas, there are different ways to hold the controllers depending on the game, so we tried to distribute them evenly as best we could. There are the antennas in the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. There's only one way to hold the Pro controller, so we kept the antennas away from your expected hand position. Basically, the antennas were positioned based on how you would be holding the controllers. In the past, Nintendo game consoles used cables for communication, but as time went on, there was a gradual shift to wireless technology. It used to be that when you wanted to connect 2 game consoles together to play, you would need a special cable to link them. The Game Boy or Game Boy Advance systems are examples of this. Later, a special adapter enabled wireless communication for Game Boy Advance. Yes, I had that. I might still have it, but my Game Boy Advance doesn't work anymore. I left batteries in it when I put it in storage, and they exploded. Later, a special... Nintendo DS followed with wireless communication capabilities as well. As for controllers, up until Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo controllers had to be connected with a cable. This is when the Wavebird controller came along, which uses dedicated radio signals. The Wii Remote after this uses Bluetooth. A similar shift can be seen with regard to internet connections. Nintendo GameCube had to be connected to the internet via a LAN cable. After this, the Nintendo DS and Wii went on to use Wi-Fi technology. Starting from the 2000s, the number of Nintendo devices utilizing wireless communication steadily increased. You've read through every one of the wireless communication insights? Now that you've already read everything, have a quiz. Which of the following can communicate wirelessly with Nintendo Switch 2 console? Hanafuda playing cards, Game & Watch consoles, Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo, Amiibo. There are 3 of these inside the Nintendo Switch 2 console. What are they? Styluses, antennas, umbrellas. When the Nintendo Switch 2 console uses wireless communication, which of the following is offset? Shock waves, sound waves, radio waves, tidal waves. Which of the following is the most difficult for signals to pass through? Air, glass, plastic, the human body. Historically, through which medium have Nintendo game consoles communicated with each other and their controllers? Sonar, telephone landline, physical cables, the postal service. The postal service. That's fantastic! You got every question right. You're so good at communicating about Nintendo Switch 2 wireless communication. There's not any stamps here, are there? Doesn't look like it. Just lots of quizzes. Oh, there are stamps. It's the battery. Oh, there's lots of stamps. Oh boy. Huh, there's writing here too? Alright, let's stay more in the area that I was just in then. USB Type-C connector lower. You can learn about microSD Express memory cards here. You'll find out about how a microSD Express card differs from a microSD card, and the speed of a microSD Express card, and more. Are you interested? Sure. Got it. Feel free to explore microSD Express memory card insights at your leisure. I've got one on order, but Amazon's like, sure, you can order one, and then it didn't ever bother to send it. MicroSD Express memory cards. A microSD Express card can be used with to save various Nintendo Switch 2 data. Downloaded games as well as photos and videos taken with the capture button are saved to this card. It's a handy thing to have if you've run out of system memory. That's also why I'm being really careful about which games that I download, because I don't have a lot of memory. I only have what came with the console because because the microSD card hasn't come yet. You can use a microSD card in the Nintendo Switch console. Yes, I have 2 of them. But only a microSD Express card will work on a Nintendo Switch 2 console. I actually ordered another microSD card for this specifically. You might notice it's not Express. I didn't know that when I ordered this. Well, I didn't know that the Nintendo Switch 2 would only take Express cards. I just knew that it would need them. You'll find a place for it in the spot where you can pull out the stand. You just need to insert the card into the slot marked microSD Express and you should be good to go. Let's take a closer look at a microSD Express card. While it may look similar to a microSD card, there are key differences. You should notice one once you flip it over. It has a lot more pins. With these pins, data can be read and written in a new way. But since the original pins are still there, it can even work as a microSD card. It's actually compatible with the Nintendo Switch consoles. With the microSD Express card, the Nintendo Switch 2 console has a new way to read and write data. Compared to when you use a microSD card on a Nintendo Switch console, assuming a buffer size of 4 megabytes, the read speed will be about 8 times faster. However, different cards will typically read and write at different speeds. Some games may be doing more in the background than just loading, which means loading speeds may not always be around 8 times faster. Reading and writing speeds are also getting faster. The Nintendo Switch 2 console only accepts a specific type of card, and that is the microSD Express card. Take note that microSD cards won't work. The Nintendo Switch 2 console takes advantage of the speed at which microSD Express cards read and write data, and we'd like you to benefit from this extra speed as you enjoy new games. Although, that's not to say that microSD cards are completely unusable. If you still have photos and images saved to a microSD card that was used on a Nintendo Switch console, you can copy the data from the microSD card to the Nintendo Switch 2 console's system memory. The microSD Express card is fast. In fact, because it sends signals so quickly, it tends to get hot. Naturally, we've tried as much as we can to avoid heat buildup. We thought about where to place the microSD Express card slot, and decided to put it near one of the air inlets to help keep it cool. On top of that, we kept the microSD Express card slot farther away from other parts of the console that were likely to get hot. We even applied graphite sheets to the microSD Express card slot. These sheets are very effective at transferring heat. The sheets help spread the heat around, which keeps the area cool. Read all the insights? Great! Yeah, since I can't use the microSD card that I ordered for the reason that I ordered it, I guess I can always use it with my computer. The card slot is exclusively for use with microSD Express cards. You're qualified for a quiz! It's not like it's totally useless, it's still useful with my computer. It's got a decent amount of memory that I can put in. Which of the following can be inserted here and used with the Nintendo Switch 2 console? Reading cards, game cards, download cards, microSD express memory cards. What does a microSD express memory card have more of than a microSD card? Physical size, pins, ease of inserting it into the console, they're the same. How do the read and write speeds of a microSD express memory card compare with that of a microSD card? They're equally fast. Microexpress cards are slightly faster. MicroSD express cards are a lot faster. What aspect of microSD express memory cards do games for the Nintendo Switch 2 console make full use of? Their compact size, their lightweight, their pin's luster, their reading and writing speeds. The Nintendo Switch 2 console has been designed to benefit microSD express memory cards in what way? It lets them read and write wirelessly, it slows down their read and write speeds, it stops them from cooling down, it stops them from heating up. Not a single wrong answer. A tip of the hat for that. It looks like you have a lot of insight into microSD express memory cards. This looks easy, but I just can't get 2 clear medals. It's a little late in the tour, but I just noticed something about the staff around here. They sure are a cheery bunch. Oh, that's fantastic! You managed to get 19 medals. It's time for to unveil slot in the shapes. 4 shapes. Let me explain. In this minigame, you have to fit shapes themed on the 4 suits of a pack of cards into their correct slots. You'll have to move the pieces around using mouse controls. Rotate them so they point the right way and they'll slot right in. Your goal is to get the pieces in as quickly as you can. So what do you say? Want to go at slotting the shapes 4 shapes? I missed one. Wow, aren't you a speedy one? You slotted in those shapes like nobody's business. Why, that's part 2 out now! With some more work, I think you'll be slotting in shapes with even more finesse. What do you say? Think you'll give it another go? No. You're looking to skip this one? I've got some skip medals here. Take as many as you need to fill in those slots. Come on over whenever you feel like fitting shapes into their slots. Looks like you have 35 medals. That's great. Welcome to Slot in the Shapes 2, Floating Slots. In part 2, the slots for each of the shapes will start to float around a bit. It'll be trickier, but try to line them up in the same direction. Want to give Slot in the Shapes 2, Floating Slots a shot? Eight to go. Alright. Good enough. Wow, aren't you a speedy one? Got all those shapes in before I could even tell what was going on. With some more work, I think you'll be sliding in shapes even quicker. No. Here's the thing that I missed. I guess I'll find it later. You'd think it'd be obvious. Speaker L. The console speakers are nice, but a pair of headphones makes it all so much more immersive. I wonder what 3D sound is really like. Apparently you can hear it in that tech demo. Let's check it out. You've collected at least 6 medals. I respect the hustle. Let me get this ready for you. Won't take any time at all. So this isn't a game per se, but hear me out. What do you say to a short 3D sound experience? The sound doesn't play straight from a pair of speakers. The console does some calculations to make it sound like you're really hearing it in 3D. This tech demo can be played with the console's speakers or with a pair of headphones. Either works. You may hear sounds from places where there are no speakers. Try not to be alarmed. What's the verdict? Are you gonna try to give the 3D sound demo a go? Yep. Oh, come on! I have headphones in! You can learn about 3D sound here. You'll learn how it sounds when heard through a pair of headphones, from the console speakers, and more. Be interested? Sure. Alright, then here's console speaker insights 2. 3D sound. When you play games that support surround sound on Nintendo Switch 2, you can enjoy 3D sound, whether it's coming from the Nintendo Switch 2 console speakers or from a pair of headphones. This works not just for Nintendo Switch 2 games, but for Nintendo Switch games as well. You might even hear sound coming from places where there aren't any speakers. 3D sound with headphones. When you're listening to 3D sound with headphones connected to the Nintendo Switch 2 console, or indirectly like I have right now, game sounds are processed to make it seem like they're coming from different directions. For example, if a sound is meant to be coming from the right side in the game, you'll hear the sound in your right ear slightly sooner. The left-right balance is calculated to reach your ears at the right time. This means that there's a slight delay before the sound comes out of the left and right sides of the headphones. And that's not all. We use the dummy head microphone to simulate how the sound changes based on several factors, including how it bounces around the external ear in complex ways, how it reverberates through the head, and so on. As a result, it will give the impression that the sound is coming from somewhere else. I imagine that's loads of fun with my misshapen ears. I mean, it's not entirely... When I was young, I always laid on the same side, so one ear is flat. As for the 3D sound coming from the Nintendo Switch 2 console speakers, it doesn't work the same way as it does with headphones. On a pair of headphones, sounds from the left and right can be played to each respective ear. In the case of speakers, though, you would still hear sounds from the right speaker in your left ear, and vice versa. The sounds would mix and jumble, making it difficult to hear. So the console speakers employ a certain trick. They cancel out the sound that reaches your opposite ear. Oh! So when the sound that would reach your left ear plays from the right speaker, complex signals play along with it to cancel out that sound. As a result, sounds from the left will only reach the left ear, and sounds from the right will only reach the right. I bet that was really hard to program. Great, I see you read everything. I have a cool little quiz for you. Console speakers. Volume 2. To enjoy games with 3D sound on Nintendo Switch 2, which feature must they be compatible with? Mono aural sound, stereo sound, surround sound, ground sound. When using headphones to listen to 3D sound on the Nintendo Switch 2 console, what happens to the sounds on either side coming from different directions? They're cancelled out, they're swapped, their timings are aligned, their timings are offset. When you're listening to 3D sound from the speakers of the Nintendo Switch 2 console, signals are emitted to cancel what? Dinner plans, pre-orders for downloadable software, sounds around the console, sounds that enter the opposite ear. The first two items. You aced it. That was inspiring. I bet you could speak about speakers for days now. Not really. I'm an old school analog artist, but I do find all these insights fascinating. Would you care to learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 screen's range of colors? Or perhaps the refresh rate? Sounds pretty interesting, right? Excellent, then here's the console screen insights 2. Vivid screen. The Nintendo Switch 2 screen can produce very vivid colors. A deep, vibrant red, for instance. In order to produce such rich colors, very thick color filter is used. However, when you use a thick filter, the resulting image will be darker. If you compensate for this with more brightness, the battery will drain more quickly. We didn't want to compromise on battery life, so instead, to keep the image from getting too dark, we made the shining dots, pixels, as large as they could be. We also made other customizations along these lines. The Nintendo Switch 2 screen uses a liquid crystal display. It's LCD? Huh. It works in much the same way as the Nintendo Switch console screen. It's much brighter and more vivid than the Nintendo Switch console screen, though. Also, the Nintendo Switch OLED model's screen uses an OLED system. OLED screens are very vivid, but the Nintendo Switch 2 console's LCD screen is also quite striking. While it's true that the OLED model's colors are a little richer, the Nintendo Switch 2 console's screen can be brighter. The screen is also HDR compatible. For those who have both consoles, it might be interesting to compare them. I actually do have both consoles. The number of times per second that a screen changes its image is called the refresh rate. For example, if the image were to change 60 times per second, you would say that its refresh rate is 60 Hz. In the case of the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen, it supports a refresh rate of 120 Hz. It also supports VRR, which allows for switching between refresh rates. But each of these features have also been fine-tuned. If the image changes 120 times per second, the pictures do change incredibly quickly. But it also means that anything that interferes with the signals, such as resistance, will have a more noticeable effect. This can ruin the image as a result. So we had to implement a few ways to reduce the amount of interference. Conversely, when there were fewer pictures changing per second, the colors gradually fade and the image gets darker. So we also had to find ways to ensure that the colors don't fade easily. You've read all the required insights? For having read the material, I present you with a quiz. Which of the following is used to produce a bright red color on the Nintendo Switch 2 screen? An apple peel, a thick red filter, a thin red filter, a red pencil. The Nintendo Switch 2 screen outputs its image via which medium? Shadow puppetry, plasma, liquid crystal, cathode ray tube. What's the term for the number of times a screen changes its image in a second? Image progression, stop animation, refresh rate, quantum pulse. Perfect score? Brilliant. I see you've learned much about the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen. It seems more console screen insights have appeared. You've read a truly staggering number of insights. Perhaps I'll share some tidbits about the tech demos. Did you know that if you press and hold B during the HDR fireworks demo, you can launch a different kind of firework? In the Super Resolution demo, you can use R to toggle between images instantly. And lastly, in the HD Rumble 2 motorcycle demo, you can press L or R to honk the horn. To tell you the truth, I wasn't aware of these either. The staff just told me. Huh, okay. I'll have to try them out. It was this one. Super Resolution. Okay. Motorcycle. Okay. Super Resolution is the only other one that I can do, because the fireworks is... I can't show you that. Okay. There's another one? No idea where. Must have missed one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I'm not gonna spend too long looking. And that's all the time I was going to put into it. Oh wow, there's a lot. You can learn even more about the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen here. You'll find out about the increased screen size, the process through which it lights up, and more. That interesting? Got it, then here's Console Screen Insights 3. After this, I'm gonna go get more water. Bigger screen. In terms of screen size, the Nintendo Switch 2 console's screen is about 7.9 inches. Compare this with the Nintendo Switch console's 6.2-inch screen, and the 7-inch screen of the OLED model. It's gotten pretty big. In fact, it's the biggest screen of all of the Nintendo consoles to date. This makes it look even more impressive in tabletop and handheld modes. It's also easier to see when playing with others. By the way, it's actually slightly bigger than 7.9 inches. Sometimes bigger is better. The Nintendo Switch 2 console does have a large screen, which actually has some benefits you might not be aware of. For instance, bigger screen means that the computer can do even more calculations. How? Well, the more calculations that a computer performs, the hotter it gets. The larger the device, the less likely it is to heat up. This allows the computer to perform lots of calculations. So to lay it all out, the bigger the screen, the bigger the console. The larger the console, the less likely it is to heat up. The cooler it stays, the more calculations the computer can do, and the more calculations it can do, the more pictures and characters it can ultimately calculate. So, if the computer can calculate lots of pictures and characters, then the images should look clear and smooth, and many characters can be moving around at once. That's the goal anyway. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's screen lights up fully to display images. This light is produced by white LEDs. A single LED emits a tiny point of light. As they are, these little lights aren't enough to light up the whole screen. But with the use of a translucent plate, called a light guiding plate, the light of an LED can be spread. There's a slight unevenness to the plate. This reflects the light in a complex, uneven way and spreads out. This way, by lining up a bunch of LEDs next to the plate, the entire screen can light up. To ensure uniform brightness of the screen, we experimented with different bumpy patterns, eventually settling on the current design. Huh. Read it all? Good, good. Avid readers like you probably love quizzes, right? In terms of size, roughly how many inches is the Nintendo Switch 2 screen? 3.14 inches, 6.2 inches, 7.0 inches, 7.9 inches. What can the Nintendo Switch 2 console do now that it's bigger? Write essays, make many calculations, perform science experiments, feel human emotions. The light that lights up the entire Nintendo Switch 2 screen starts out as what kind of light? Sunlight, thin rays of light, small dots of light, light from fireflies. Very well done, you achieved a perfect score. You're awfully knowledgeable about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's screen. I'm proud of you. It would seem there are even more console screen insights to discover. Like I said, I'm gonna go get more water. I'll be back in a second. Or, well, you know, more like a minute. You have any idea how thin the Nintendo Switch 2 screen is? Or how it's made of, like, so many different parts? Just say it, you want to know more. Now say no more! Here's Console Screen Insights 4. One thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen is that it's actually at a slightly different depth from the area around it. How slight, you ask? Well, the screen is deeper by about the thickness of a piece of printer paper. It's barely noticeable. It's great when you're trying to line up a screen protector, though. But this height difference helps prevent the screen from coming into contact with the floor or other surfaces. One thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen is it's made up of many overlapping parts. There's the LCD, liquid crystal display. Hello, Lucas. A shadow-resistant film, a screen cover, transparent plastic, 2 polarizing plates, 2 pieces of glass, a touch sensor, a light guiding plate, an LED film, and so on. With all these parts layered on top of each other, there was risk of the screen becoming too thick. There wouldn't have been space left over for the other parts. So we made the cover out of thin tempered glass. For other parts, we chose the thinnest possible ones that we could find. Basically designed the screen to be as thin as possible. How are you doing today, Lucas? Often on the inside of a computer, there's a component called an IC, integrated circuit. It's typically square-shaped. As for the IC that controls the Nintendo Switch 2 console's screen and touch input, it's pretty thin, measuring about 30mm by 1mm. It has to control more than 2 million dots, called pixels, 1920 horizontally and 1080 vertically, as well as over 900 touch sensors. It uses over 3,000 wires to achieve this. In order to be able to attach all the terminals connecting so many wires, the IC had to be long and thin. Did you read all the insights? Aw yeah! Here's a quiz I'm sure you'll have no problem acing. Console Screen, Volume 4. What would you need to place on top of the Nintendo Switch 2 screen to have it match the height of the area around it? A notepad, a postcard, a sheet of printer paper. The components shown are layered on top of each other to make what part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console? The mouse pad, the battery, the circuit board, the screen. What kind of shape is the IC, integrated circuit, that controls the Nintendo Switch 2 screen and its touch input? Circular, triangular, long and thin, heart-shaped. Major congratulations! Your perfect score demands a standing ovation! You're a veritable beast when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 console screen. There's so many quizzes in this section. Small m, big A, small h? I've never heard of MAH in all my life. Milliamp hours. You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's battery capacity here. You'll find out about battery capacity, past batteries from Nintendo, and more. Any interest in that? Okie dokie, here's battery insights for you. For you. 1.2 times battery capacity. In terms of performance, the Nintendo Switch 2 console is several times better than the Nintendo Switch console. Naturally, this means it requires more power. We've done our best to reduce the amount of power it uses, of course, but even after optimizing the console, we needed to get it more power. If we had used the same battery that's used in Nintendo Switch, you wouldn't be able to use the Nintendo Switch 2 for very long. So for Nintendo Switch 2, we opted for a different battery. This new 5,220 milliamp hour battery has 1.2 times the capacity of the old one. MAH stands for milliampere hours. An increase of 1.2 times doesn't mean you'll be able to use the console for 1.2 times longer, but we did our best to maximize the time you can play on it. Battery longevity. We believe that video game consoles should be long-term companions. We'd like you to be able to keep on using them for many years to come. Especially since the Nintendo Switch lasted for 8 years. That's why. We did our best to make sure that the Nintendo Switch 2 console's battery lasts a long time. There are a few things we did to achieve this. We've purposely tried to ensure that the battery doesn't get too much power when it's charged. If it did, the energy output would be slightly weakened, and the battery could begin to degrade. Also, it's easy to damage a battery with fast charging, so we've done our best to prevent this. Our focus on how many times the console can be charged was on how many times the console can be charged. We want it to be able to be charged even more times than a smart device. Nintendo and batteries. Nintendo has a history of using batteries to power game consoles, lithium-ion batteries in particular. Console battery life has been improving with successive generations. The Game Boy Advance SP has 600 mAh. Nintendo DS, 850 mAh. Nintendo 3DS, 1300 mAh. Nintendo Switch, 4,310 milliamp hours, and Nintendo Switch 2 has 5,220 milliamp hours. Incidentally, the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance systems use dry cell batteries. In those days, if you ran out of battery while playing, you had to throw away the dry cell batteries and buy new ones. Hey, you read it all! Now that you've read everything, you deserve a quiz. That is, if you'd like to take the Battery Insights quiz, it's optional. How much more capacity does the Nintendo Switch 2 console's battery than have than a Nintendo Switch console's battery? 0.8 times, there's no difference. 1.2 times, 100 times. I wish. Why is the Nintendo Switch 2 console's battery not supplied with too much power? It makes the battery lighter, it makes the battery smaller, it increases the battery capacity, it helps prevent battery degradation. What was used to power the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance systems? The desire to play. Clockwork. Solar batteries, dry cell batteries. Well, look at that! You got them all right. I hope that quiz recharged your own batteries. Wireless antenna right. Hold on. Nothing over here? Okay. So this isn't a game per se, but hear me out. What do you say to a short 3D sound experience? Oh, hold on. There we go. Looking to skip? I'm on it. Here, have a skip medal. It works the same as a clear medal. I'll check it out later. You ever feel like experiencing 3D sound? Come on over. Yeah, I wanted to do that right now, but you wouldn't let me. Heatsink. Fan. So many of the things I've seen here have been inspiring. Makes me want to work as hard as everyone here. Oh, my hat! My precious hat! You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's heat dissipation methods here. You'll find out about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's fan, airflow, and more. Any of this got you curious? Nice, I'm so glad. Here it is then. Heat Dissipation Insights 1. Electronic devices get hot. Yeah. Some electronic devices can heat up the longer they run. They can get particularly hot when performing fast calculations, communicating rapidly, or running while being charged. And using devices that are hot to the touch definitely isn't fun. But that's not the only problem. If the parts are too hot, the device itself may fail to work properly. Some parts could even break completely. To ensure this doesn't happen, Nintendo Switch 2 cools down parts in different ways so they don't get too hot. People accused Nintendo of not doing so with the Switch 1. Lots of folks came in, went online and they're like, oh no, my Switch console warped because it got too hot. But they never bothered checking it before they even ran it in the first place. And, if you injection mold parts, they get warped when they come out of the injection mold machine. So, yeah, they started warped. A quiet fan. The Nintendo Switch 2 console does its best to keep itself from heating up. One way it does this is with a built-in fan. This fan funnels air into the console and blows it at different parts. The hot air is then pushed out to keep things cool. The fan isn't always running, though. First, it uses the temperature sensor to check how hot the console is. If it's hot, the fan runs at high speed. But if it's not too hot, it'll only spin a little. At low speeds, the fan will be so quiet you can barely hear it. Try putting your ear up to the fan and listening for yourself. The Nintendo Switch 2 console contains a circuit board. The components on the circuit board generate heat. These need to be cooled down. To do this, air flows to both the front and back of the circuit board. Both sides are directly connected via the air inlet. And the fan draws in air, ventilating both the front and back. And so, the components on both the front and back of the circuit board can be safely cooled. Cool the Nintendo Switch 2 console with air, airflow needs to be as smooth as possible. With good airflow, the fan doesn't have to push itself to high speeds. Air inlets were made on the underside to let air straight in. At the outlet, the air comes straight out, unobstructed. Thanks to this and the console's more powerful fan, Nintendo Switch 2 provides roughly twice the airflow of Nintendo Switch. Read everything? Exceptional! If you're here, it can only mean one thing. It's quiz time. What happens to electronic devices as they run? They get cold, they get hot, they get lighter, they get sleepy. Which of the following is attached to the Nintendo Switch 2 console to cool it down? Ice, a refrigerator, a fan, an air conditioner. Where does the air flow over on the Nintendo Switch 2 console circuit board to cool it down? The front, the back, both the front and back. How much airflow does the Nintendo Switch 2 console provide in contrast to the Nintendo Switch console? About the same amount, a little more, twice as much. Perfect score, too cool. You obviously don't have any built-in heat dissipation because you're on fire! But before I get too excited and forget, there are more heat dissipation insights to take in. Really? You're almost done with all the quizzes. That's incredible. You're incredible. You're nearly finished with the exhibition's quizzes. So for you to have read so many, you have no idea how happy it makes me. Well, I paid $10 for it. I'm getting my money's worth. This really should have been packaged with the console. You can learn more about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's heat dissipation methods here. You'll find out about the parts that are sensitive to heat, how heat is transferred, and more. Think you'll give them a look? Glad to hear it. Then here's heat dissipation insights 2. One thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's system memory is that it's susceptible to heat. The system memory should be kept as cool as possible. That's why it's been positioned close to one of the air inlets. What's more, we made sure that it wasn't near other parts that heat up. And there's one last thing. The wiring conducts heat easily because it's made of copper. So we gave the system memory its own spot, away from any wiring. This reduces the transferred heat. As a result, the system memory is protected from heat. I note that it's right next to the SD card. Heat-sensitive parts are placed near one of the air inlets. Yeah. Heat is spread evenly. Inside the Nintendo Switch 2 console, it's normal for parts to get hot. But some parts are difficult to cool down with air alone. We used a couple different materials to solve this. The first being graphite sheets, and the second a substance called thermal grease, both of which are good at conducting heat. By using these, heat is evenly distributed across the parts that get hot, so that they only become a little warm. Because a lot of air gets to this warmer area, the console can be easily cooled. Graphite sheets have been attached to the plastic on the back, as well as to other parts, such as the microSD express memory card slot. Thermal grease, meanwhile, is used for the main computer, like you do with any CPU. Do you know which part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console produces the most heat? It's the main computer, also known as the SoC. All this heat from the SoC needs somewhere to go, which is where the heat pipe comes in. It carries heat to the air outlet. The inside of the heat pipe is a vacuum. There's a little water in there too. The water is heated by the SoC, turns into steam, and moves toward the cooler side. Then when it reaches the air outlet, it turns back into water, and returns to the SoC through a process called capillary action. This carries on over and over, transporting heat to the air outlet. This way, even the part that generates the most heat gets cooled down. Ah, so we actually have a liquid-cooled console. I see you read it all. Here's a fun little quiz for your trouble. What measure was implemented to prevent heat from transferring across the space marked in red? A set of curtains was added, a metal wall was added, heat absorption, wiring was kept away. What heat-conducting substance is used to distribute the heat of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer? Superconductive grease, bacon grease, thermal grease, bearing grease. What moves around inside the heat pipe to transfer heat from the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer? Metal powder, air, a small amount of water, special oil. Would you look at that? You got all the answers right. Next time I need some advice on heat dissipation, I know who to ask. This is all so exciting! It's been decades since I've been to an exhibition this big. This area is jam-packed with info. Yes, it is. Audio jack. USB Type-C connector, upper. The insights here are pretty tough to wrap your head around, but the explanations are easy to follow. People who don't know much about computers should give this a read. Heat pipe. Are you familiar with the SoC? How about CPU? GPU? Well, want to learn about these things? I thought so. Here's Main Computer Insights 1. The main computer. What have we here? Why, it's the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer. It's what's known as an SoC, System on a Chip. This single chip has all sorts of capabilities. It acts as both the CPU and GPU, handles video and sound, extracts compressed data, shows images on screen, and interacts with the main memory and system memory. Needless to say, it's a very important chip. Within the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer, there's a part called the CPU, Central Processing Unit. It calculates how characters move, switches from one scene to another. In short, lots of calculations are happening here. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's CPU is several times faster than the CPU in the Nintendo Switch console. faster the CPU is, the better it is at displaying lots of characters on screen. And the better it is at performing more complex motion. Within the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer, you'll find the GPU, Graphics Processing Unit. Its main purpose is to perform calculations for drawing images on a screen. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's GPU is several times faster than the GPU in the Nintendo Switch console. The faster the GPU is, the better it gets at generating more complex and detailed images. Note, this video is purely for reference. Also, the GPU is where the machine learning and ray tracing calculations take place. Good job reading all that. This is the point where I give you a quiz. What three letters are used to refer to the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer? DOG, HOT, SOC, CAT. Which part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer calculates things like scene transitions and how characters move? The CPU, the GPU. Which part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer mainly performs drawing calculations? CPU, the GPU. That's a perfect score. Way to go. Would you say that the main computer is one of your main interests now? Not really. Oh, huh. I guess this means you aren't done with these insights just yet. So what are your thoughts on super resolution? How about ray tracing? What do you think of that? Do these things interest you? Yeah, I hear you. Presenting main computer insights 2. With the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer, sharper and more detailed images can be produced. This process is called super resolution. In games that support super resolution, the computer performs machine learning calculations and predicts what kind of detailed picture it should draw. This results in a clearer, more detailed picture. So, some people are like, oh no, it's using the AI plagiarism machine to do that. No. The way this works is it uses the reference images for the machine learning for super resolution are the images of the rest of the game. It's not a plagiarism machine, it's literally using the rest of the game as reference for figuring out how the game should look. Inside the GPU of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer, there's a place for performing machine learning calculations. This place contains what are called tensor cores. Using certain fixed patterns, the tensor cores can perform multiplication and addition incredibly quickly. These operations are used to perform machine learning calculations. There are plenty of things that can be done with machine learning calculations. For example, you can make the game's pictures clearer and more detailed. Or you can erase everything except the people from a video's camera feed. Inside the GPU of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer, there's a place that calculates ray tracing, which is a way of drawing images. This place contains what are called RT cores. RT cores can calculate whether or not there's light hitting polygons, and it does this incredibly quickly. In games that use ray tracing, these calculations can be used to simulate light reflections and make images look more realistic. That's cool. I see you've read all the insights. If you're talking to me, that means it's quiz time. Through which process does the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main computer draw sharper, more detailed pictures? Transformation, Alsatian, super resolution, vacation. What's Alsatian? What is the part of the Nintendo Switch 2 console's GPU that can quickly perform addition and multiplication calculate? Loose change, dates, the number pi, machine learning calculations. What can be simulated with the Nintendo Switch 2 console's GPU ray tracing calculations? Car physics, light reflections, characters' feelings, company management. You got every question right. Good going. Looks like you really know the ins and outs of the main computer by now. Wireless antenna upper. Game card slot. Shoot, we don't have enough clear medals. What should we do? Want to go back to the previous area and get some more medals? There are some tech demos we haven't done yet, and some mini games we only got one medal for. Second medal? Think you can pull it off? How about skip medals? This minigame can be so satisfying when you do it just right. Ah, there we are. 34 glittering medals. Brushstroke Floaty Frustration is now available. I'll explain. As you may already know, the Joy-Con 2L and Joy-Con 2R are equipped with mouse sensors. This means you can use two mice at the same time. Minigame, you'll be using two mice, one in each hand, and moving them to swim the brushstroke. Swim as fast as you can to reach the goal. Sounds easy, right? Well, there's just one thing. In this game, it's extremely difficult to swim straight forward. The trick is to make large sweeping motions. That way you can propel yourself forward in bursts. What do you say? Want to try some Brushstroke Floaty Frustration? Sure. Aha! You're fast! I guess you could say that went swimmingly. If you keep on going, you might be able to improve your stroke and swim faster. Why don't you try a little longer? Nah. You're looking to skip this one? You need some skip medals, right? You can fill your empty slots with these. Stop by if you ever feel like swimming the breaststroke. You know why the microphone is built into the console? Or maybe you're curious about the history of Nintendo's chat features? What do you say? Want to learn about that stuff? That's what I wanted to hear. Here's Microphone Insights 2. Is there a... Where's the microphone? Huh. All kinds of microphones. The Nintendo Switch 2 console does have a built-in microphone. But you can also use a different microphone if you'd like. For instance, you can plug a microphone into the audio jack. Or you can attach it via USB port to the console or the dock. You can even plug it into the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller's audio jack. You've got plenty of options, so feel free to take your pick. Whichever microphone you settle on, the chip will make your voice easy to hear. One microphone is enough. You might notice that the Nintendo Switch 2 console only has a single microphone. Sure, there are some devices out there that come fitted with 2 or 3. Having 2 or 3 microphones makes it easier to pick up a person's voice from a specific direction. But in TV mode, you're free to point the Nintendo Switch 2 dock in any direction you want. You're also free to speak anywhere in the room. This means that you don't need the microphone specifically pointing at someone. Also, Nintendo Switch 2 has a chip that makes it easier to pick up your voice, and it's customized especially for games, so it can pick up your voice loud and clear. And that's why just a single microphone will be enough. The Nintendo Switch 2 microphone is built into the console, but we initially considered putting it somewhere else, like on the Nintendo Switch 2 dock, the Joy-Con 2 grip, or on the Joy-Con 2. Problem was that the microphone would only be usable in TV mode if it was part of the dock, and it wouldn't be usable in handheld mode if part of the grip. If we'd put it on a Joy-Con 2 controller, it would have made it harder for the microphone to pick up voices when you're using motion controls. We wanted to make the mic easy to use, and we wanted this to apply whether you're using the console in handheld mode, TV mode, or tabletop mode. Not to mention when you're using motion controls. That's why we decided to build it into the console. When it comes to voice chat, Nintendo has a long-standing history. You only need to look back on titles like Pokemon Diamond Pearl for Nintendo DS, Animal Crossing City Folk for Wii and its compatibility with the Wii Speak accessory. And by the way, for Pokemon, it's talking about Chatot with its chatter move. Pokemon X and Y for Nintendo 3DS. Don't remember what uses it there. Wii U Chat for Wii U. And the Nintendo Switch Online Smart Device app for the Nintendo Switch, as of May 2025. Players have been able to use their voices in a lot of different ways. What's more, you could even talk with people far away using the Light telephone released in 1971, exclusive to Japan. Nice, you read everything. Where's the stamp for this thing? I would think it would be over here. You won't mind if I spring a quiz on you, right? Which of the following devices can you connect a microphone to in order to more easily hear people's voices? Only the Nintendo Switch 2 console, only the Nintendo Switch 2 dock, only the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, all of the above. How many microphones are built into the Nintendo Switch 2 console? 1, 2, 3. In which mode is the Nintendo Switch 2 console's microphone intended to be used? TV mode, handheld mode, tabletop mode, all of the above. What could you use to chat with when using the Wii Speak accessory? Paper cups and some string, telepathy, your voice, hand gestures. Got every answer correct. I know more about microphones than I do. You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's memory here. You'll get to find out about the particulars of the console's memory, such as its speed. Interested? Alright, then feast your eyes on Memory Insights. I really didn't expect this game to take up 2 entire streams, but it looks like it's not going to go to a third one, so there's that at least. Main memory versus system memory. There are 2 kinds of memory at play here. One is main memory and the other is system memory, internal storage. Both types of memory read and write data, but they're actually different from one another. Main memory is read from and written to faster, but the data is lost when the Nintendo Switch 2 console is powered off. System memory, however, has slower read and write operations, but the data is retained when the console is powered off. For that reason, the main computer uses memory when it needs to read and write faster. However, it uses the console's system memory to store downloaded games. For example, The downloaded games on the console's system memory are loaded into main memory before the main computer begins to read and write. Each memory type does the work it's best suited for. Thanks to Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory, the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory loads programs and data from the console's system memory. Main memory can also be used to store the results of the main computer's calculations. The Nintendo Switch 2 system's main memory is 3 times larger than that of the Nintendo Switch systems. This can be used to display more character models and create larger worlds. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory has twice as much circuitry as the Nintendo Switch consoles. It also uses a method that lets it read and write data twice as fast. So, compared to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory is up to 4 times faster. It's faster in many areas and is able to perform more calculations in the same amount of time. Not only that, the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory is comparable to that of smart devices. That said, on many smart devices, the main memory is found on top of the main computer. When it comes to Nintendo Switch 2, the main memory is located away from that main computer. This makes it harder for main memory to heat up and allows it for additional circuitry. It's designed to perform a lot of calculations. When it comes to the console's main memory, data written to the main memory will be lost once the power is shut off. To prevent this data loss, power must be supplied repeatedly. This is called refreshing. When it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, data is not easily lost. It refreshes more than 200,000 times per second. Got all that memorized? Put your knowledge to use. I have a quiz for you. Which of the following reads and writes data faster but loses its data when the power is turned off? Main memory, system memory. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory can handle how much more data than the Nintendo Switch console's main memory? 1.5 times, 2 times, 3 times the same amount. The Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory does not get hot easily because it's located away from what? The fan, the microphone, the magnetic connectors, the main computer. How many times does the Nintendo Switch 2 console's main memory refresh per second? About 200 times, about 2,000 times, about 20,000 times, more than 200,000 times. Nice one, not a mistake in sight. You must have retained a lot about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's memories. Memory. Oh, now I get it. This was a direct look into the workings of Nintendo Switch 2. They've cooked up something quirky yet again, but quirky in a good way. The insights here sure take me back. Wireless antenna left. There's another section. Probably just the credits, really. Speaker R. You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's storage here. You'll get to know about the console's storage speed, past examples of Nintendo downloadable game data, and more. Would you be interested in learning? I love it! Go ahead and check out Storage Insights. 256 gigabytes. Plenty of things could be stored in the Nintendo Switch 2 system memory, from game save data and downloaded games, to photos and videos taken with the capture button. It has a capacity of 256 gigabytes. That's 8 times more than the system memory of the Nintendo Switch, 4 times more than the OLED model. This means it's easier to add games that take up more space. When it comes to reading from and writing to the system memory, Nintendo Switch 2 works differently from Nintendo Switch. Assuming a buffer size of 4 megabytes, Nintendo Switch 2 can read and write roughly 8 times faster than its predecessor. However, some games may be doing more than in the background than just loading, so the loading speed isn't guaranteed to be around 8 times faster. Also, out of all the storage mediums that hold game data, it's the system memory that can be read the fastest. It's even faster than a game card or a microSD express memory card. Nintendo has a long history of letting you save games in the form of downloads. The Wii 2006 had 0.5 gigabytes. Nintendo DSi 2009 had 0.25 gigabytes. Nintendo 3DS 2011 had an SD card. Wii U 2012 has 8 gigabytes or 32 gigabytes. You got to pay more. Nintendo Switch 2017 had 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes on the OLED model. And now let's not forget about Satellaview 1995 saved to a 0.001 gigabyte memory pack. This peripheral for the Super Famicom let you download games via satellite. We've offered you ways to download and save games for as long as Nintendo has been a household name. Read it all? How kind of you! I think you've earned a little quiz. How many gigabytes of system memory does the Nintendo Switch 2 console have? 32 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes, 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes. Which of the following is the fastest at reading game data? Game cards, microSD express memory cards, the console's system memory, they're all the same speed. Which of the following Nintendo services was the first to let you save game data in the form of a download? Virtual Console, Nintendo Power Cartridge, Disk Writer, Satellaview. All of your answers were correct. Great work. So glad to see that you have a full understanding of the console's storage. You can learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 console's operating system here. You'll learn about how Nintendo Switch games run on Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo's past operating systems, and more. Your interest is piqued, I can tell. Then let's get these operating system insights fully operational. Not every piece of Nintendo Switch 2 software is a game. The console comes installed with software that's always running in the background. This is called the operating system, or OS for short. The OS helps game developers by making it easier to create games. It can also download software and update data while you're playing games, find out what your friends are up to, send out notifications, and more. The OS quietly supports games in the background. The Nintendo Switch 2 operating system is dedicated to gaming. In fact, that's specifically what it was made for. Operating systems found in smart devices and PCs are designed to do many things, but when an OS is dedicated to gaming, it focuses solely on game-related tasks. That's why it was designed to be small. This allows for more of the console's processing power and memory to be used on games. The Nintendo Switch 2 console is designed for playing games after all, so games are naturally prioritized. Inside the Wii U console, there's a Wii computer. This lets you play Wii games on the Wii U. However, the Nintendo Switch 2 console is different. You won't find a Nintendo Switch computer inside. The Nintendo Switch 2 computer works differently from the Nintendo Switch computer. This means that Nintendo Switch games won't work as they are. Despite this, you can still play Nintendo Switch games on Nintendo Switch 2. How is this possible? Well, when you play a Nintendo Switch game, the OS adapts it to the way the Nintendo Switch 2 console works. It does so by rewriting Nintendo Switch programs, such as shader binaries, on the fly. When you play a Nintendo Switch game, the Nintendo Switch 2 OS is rewriting things in the background. By the way, because you're playing a Nintendo Switch game on Nintendo Switch 2, which is not using the Nintendo Switch computer, you may notice some improved performance, such as faster loading times and smoother gameplay. Or the game crashing at the end of the credits. Thank you, Romancing Saga 2. This isn't strictly related to the operating system, but there are a number of different computers inside the Nintendo Switch 2 console and its accessories. The main computer is just one of them. For example, the Joy-Con 2 controllers and dock each contain their own computers. In fact, every single game card contains a computer. Not only that, each computer has its own software that runs on it. This software is called firmware. Because the Nintendo Switch 2 console is designed for playing games, we customize each piece of firmware to make it easier to use with games. In other words, each Joy-Con 2 controller, dock, and game card runs its own custom firmware. Nintendo game consoles have had their own operating systems for some time. Ever since the Wii, in fact. Nintendo 64 and Nintendo DS also have operating systems, but in these cases the OS is mainly included in the game software. Since the release of the Wii, the OS has been installed on the console instead, running in the background. It has performed all sorts of functions to improve your gameplay experience. For example, Wii Connect 24 for Wii, Street Pass and Spot Pass for Nintendo 3DS, Miiverse for Wii U, switching between TV mode, tabletop mode, and handheld mode on Nintendo Switch, and so on. Looks like you've read it all. If you've read all the insights, it's time to give you a quiz. Want to take the Nintendo Switch 2 console operating system insights quiz? Sure. What's the name of the software that comes installed on the Nintendo Switch 2 and runs in the background? The PS, the DS, the OS, the VS. What operating system does the Nintendo Switch 2 console use? The same OS used on some smart devices, the same OS used on some PCs, an OS dedicated to gaming, same OS used for Hanafuda playing cards. So Hanafuda playing cards keep coming up on this because that was the first thing that Nintendo made. All the way back in 1889. What allows a Nintendo Switch 2 to play Nintendo Switch games? The Nintendo Switch computer contained within Nintendo Switch 2, the operating system rewriting data in the background, the system converting data on the fly via an internet connection. Nintendo Switch games cannot be played on Nintendo Switch 2. What type of software runs the Nintendo Switch 2 computer, the Joy-Con 2 controllers, and other Nintendo devices? Firmware, homeware, D-ware, streetware. Nintendo has been using game consoles with operating systems installed since the release of which game console? Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, Wii. It can't be. You completed all the quizzes. Insights quizzes completed. Thanks for playing. You've read all the insights. This is truly a remarkable moment. There's a lot of technology, and especially effort, that you can't see just by looking at the surface. That's why we wanted to provide insight. We wanted everyone to appreciate all Nintendo Switch 2 has to offer. I hope all this helped you gain a deeper appreciation of its workings. Thank you for having read so many insights. It really means a lot to me. Alright, let's see if I can find all the rest of the stamps. They're hiding here somewhere. Something by the game code slot, probably the mic. Something between the fan and the wireless antenna, right? Okay. Where is the mic on this? Oh, wow, okay. I just spotted a tiny little staircase. What was the other thing? Fan and wireless antenna. Brightness sensor. Volume buttons. Power button. And all the way back here. And through here. There. Back here. You get over there. Up the ribbon cable to the microphone. What is this left area? Did you get all the stamps in Area L? Did you get all the stamps in Area L, the Nintendo Switch 2 console inner area yet? Hey, it looks like you did! Way to go! You can head on through! The final room is just through here. Main memory left. Main memory lower. SoC, system on a chip. This functions as the main computer. You get all the stamps? Let me check your map. Marvelous! They're all here! Not over yet. I have one last challenge for you. Are you ready to take on the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour Final Quiz? The final boss. Final quiz! 13 questions. One for each area. What is the name of the mechanism that attaches the Joy-Con 2 controllers to the console? Controller port, controller connector, magnetic port. How many USB Type-C connectors does the Nintendo Switch 2 console have? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the name of the button on the Joy-Con 2R that opens Game Chat? The G button, the C button, the Game button, the Chat button. Which of the following parts has a stamp that can be found in the Joy-Con 2 R area? Rumble Pack, Nintendo DS Rumble Pack, HD Rumble 2. The mouse feet on a Joy-Con 2 strap attached to a Joy-Con 2 controller affect the controller in what way? They stop it from slipping, they help it move around, they steal its socks, they give it sentience. Which of the following is present on the Nintendo Switch 2 dock? The HD Rumble 2 feature, an HDMI port, a lens, speakers. What happens when you turn the slider for the Nintendo Switch 2 camera's privacy shutter? The camera sprints away, the camera zooms in, the lens is covered up, a ball comes out. Which of the following parts has a stamp that can be found on the Joy-Con 2L inner area? The A button, the R button, the capture button, the home button. What is located right in the middle of the Joy-Con 2 grip? The player LED, a rubber cap, feet, the Nintendo Switch 2 logo. Which of the following cannot be found on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller? The LR buttons, the GLGR buttons, the SLSR buttons, the ZLZR buttons. What is the shape of the Joy-Con 2 wheel? U-shaped, D-shaped, circular, rectangular. Which of the following is located at the very end of the Nintendo Switch 2 console area? The SOC, the C button, HD Rumble 2 parts, mouse sensors. This exhibition commemorates the release of which Nintendo console? Nintendo Entertainment System, Wii, Nintendo Switch 2. Perfect score. You passed the final quiz. What a success. The stamp rally is now complete. Stamp rally completed. Thanks for playing. Oh right, I haven't introduced myself yet, have I? My apologies. Let's correct that. Not to brag, but I actually play a fairly important role at this exhibition. I'm its curator. Nice job making it this far. This is the deepest level of the Nintendo Switch 2 console inner area. I know you've explored many different areas before winding up here, but were there any particular exhibits that left an impression on you? Needless to say, these sprawling grounds are an important part of the exhibition itself. I'm so happy you explored every corner so thoroughly. Mind if I take a look at your map? You've been all over the exhibition hall. Thanks for making it all the way here. I hope you'll continue to enjoy the space. I think that's it for this game. I've finished every single stamp. I've done every single quiz, every single one of these that it'll let me record. I've at least tried every single one of these that it'll let me record. I've done every single quiz. And I've gone to all of the areas. I'm missing one of the items for the information center. I have no idea where it is, and I'm not gonna look around for it. And the percents on all of these things, the reason why they're lower than 100% is if I'm missing medals. Like you can see, I've got gold medals on every single one of these, but I don't have it for this one. At any rate, you know what? I'll go back to this Dodge the Spike Balls 4 Nightmare mode and close out with that, since they said it's the hardest thing. I think I'm done. My arms are starting to get sore. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. So, as I said on Saturday, um, my schedule has changed. When we next come back, when I next stream, it will be Saturday. But then we're going to be doing a full stream of Xenoblade X the whole time. Um, this has been a nice break from the game, but I'm ready to get back into it. And this is it for the welcome tour. I imagine there's a grand total of 120 medals. You saw in a couple of those mini games, I got 3 medals instead of 2. But I have to actually play the games in order to get those medals, and some of those games you can't actually stream because you can't have the because it has to be in like handheld mode or whatever. So that's gonna be it for today. And so thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.